Welcome to Sir John Dean Sixth Form College and our virtual open event for our STEM subjects. Whenever we have an open evening or event at the college, the strongest feedback that we get from you and your families is how important it is for you to meet our teachers and to hear from our students. And so what we're doing this evening is giving you an opportunity to hear further from our teachers and to have the opportunity to hear from some of your students. So the format for this evening, we're going to open with a conversation between Mr. Potts, our head of chemistry, and Mr. Jones, one of our computer science teachers, who are going to share with you some of their love for their subjects and explain some of the ways in which they teach here at the college. We're then going to pass over to two of our wonderful Year 13 students, Holly Dooley and Bridget Kieran, who are going to share with you some of their experiences of studying in the STEM departments at the college. And then finally, we're going to put to our teachers some of the questions that you frequently ask us at open events and that we've prepared for you. So without further ado, let me pass over now to Mr. Potts and to Mr. Jones. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Lawrence, Head of Chemistry.
And I'm Adam, Teacher of Computer Science.
We could talk about our subjects all day, so it's a pleasure to be here tonight to give you a flavour of what studying a STEM subject is like at college. STEM stands for Science, Engineering, Technology and Maths. And if you choose to study a STEM subject, you'll find there's a very similar approach in terms of teaching and learning in all of them.
Absolutely. In all of our subjects, we have that same problem-solving nature and that logical approach to our subjects. Whether in chemistry, that might be balancing a formula, or in mathematics, it might be solving some architectural design, or in physics, it might look like designing something for the space station. But they all require that same logical approach and love of a challenge. And one of the ways that we help our students to prepare for that challenge is through deliberate thinking time. So we've all been in those lessons, haven't we, where they're so energetic and fast-paced that we're not entirely sure if we've understood what the teacher is talking about. But our lessons are deliberate and clear and well-paced to allow you time to process that information. So just as an example, last week with my Year 12s, I showed them an exam question for a topic that they'd never studied before. And I asked them to just read through the question. And then as I talked through the lesson, they were able to see how what they were learning applied to that exam context. And then at the end of the lesson, I asked them to have a go at a couple of the questions. We fed back on those two questions. And then I asked them to do the most challenging one. And they were able to go into that challenging question with that confidence in their approach, because that's what we do really well here at the college. We prepare you for that challenge. One of the ways that we do that is through our logical thinking and our resilience and our resilient building and our thinking time. And it looks like sort of giving you questions, giving you thinking time in lessons such as presenting a question to the class and then allowing you maybe 5 minutes to mull over those things before moving on. Some of our STEM subjects are more abstract and theoretical, such as mathematics, and some are more knowledge-based, such as biology, and then some, like computer science, are in the middle between skill and knowledge. And Lawrence, I think, do you want to talk to us a little bit more about teaching and learning, specifically in a STEM lesson?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Our lessons are expertly planned with the end in mind, with careful consideration given to what it is that we want students to be able to do and understand by the end of the lesson. Activities which encourage deep thinking and reflection are prioritised, and material is presented in a clear and concise manner, so that all students make outstanding progress. As STEM subjects, we're aware that we're often teaching quite complex and abstract ideas, so we nurture our students and sequence activities in our lesson so that new information is delivered bit by bit instead of being overwhelming all at once. So by the end of a lesson, all students have grasped the idea. In Year 12 chemistry this week, students have been learning about electron structure, which does involve some quite abstract ideas about subatomic particles. And I had a moment in the lesson where I was amazed that these were the same students that I'd seen in lesson 1 in September. The resilience and problem-solving skills they showed was fantastic, and their confidence in dealing with those was brilliant. When they started in September, they had some induction lessons, and we went over some of the key skills that are needed at A-level, such as data handling, math skills and problem solving. And it's really led to an improvement in confidence across the term. You can see their resilience growing in front of you, and their passion for the subject is increasing all the time. I'm sure, Adam, that you've experienced similar moments this term as well.
Yeah, definitely. So not all of my students in computer science have studied computer science at GCSE. And so sometimes they come to the college with absolutely no prior knowledge of the subject at all. And it's been really encouraging to see those same students make progress and succeed in quite challenging topics. So we start the course in Year 12 with a topic like Boolean algebra. That's quite a challenging part of the A-level, but it's so rewarding to see those students make progress in those topics. And, they might understand it a little bit by the first assessment. By the second assessment, they've absolutely nailed it. And part of that is because we give deliberate and clear feedback to our students after assessments as well. So Lawrence, do you want to talk a little bit more about the feedback that we give?
Yeah, thanks. We place a really high value on excellent feedback because with STEM subjects, mistakes in answering questions does happen, and that's absolutely fine. It's expected. But it's the learning afterwards that really takes students to the next level. So that's why we have time in our lessons based purely on feedback, and that could be from an in-lesson task or a recent assessment. Having the time to go through questions line by line, see what the examiners want students to say, look at the misconceptions that students might have had, is crucial to allow students to reflect on their performance and make improvements next time. That's also why we have follow-up tasks, where a similar task to an assessment is given to students, maybe in a different context, but using the same skills. By completing that task, they're building their confidence and showing themselves that they can make the improvements that we've suggested to them.
And on top of those follow-on tasks, we also offer a set of tailored support sessions in each subject. So, for example, in computer science, we do support for Year 13s with their coursework. We do skill support with the programming and theory support with the kind of theoretical content of the course. And those support sessions, it might just be that you bring along a question from the homework booklet or a question from the last assessment. It's just having that opportunity to talk with your teacher in a kind of more intimate way about where you're struggling and how to make progress. And Lawrence, we were talking just yesterday about a support session this week in chemistry with Year 12. If you would like to...
Yeah, so the support session this week for chemistry was on moles, which does involve some quite complex calculations. And we find them so important and useful in chemistry because it gives students the opportunity to recap on previous work. So students are sometimes invited along or come along themselves, and it gives us the time to go through exactly how to structure and write an answer to an exam question. And it gives students the time to dedicate to learning that topic. And we know in STEM subjects that practice makes perfect, so it gives us the time to practice the key skills that students need.
And those support sessions, they really underpin our ethos as teachers. We go the extra mile for our students. We absolutely love our subjects and we love our students. And I have a couple of things to say about those things. So firstly, and we say this with genuine humility, we are subject experts at the college. We are sixth form specialists. We spend all day, every day, thinking about our specifications and how to get the best out of our students. I don't have a Year 7 tutor group anymore that I look after. I don't have Year 8 worksheets to print. You and your success is my only priority. And secondly, we also know that students here at the college need that real world experience beyond the curriculum. And so we offer extracurricular events and activities as well. So in computer science, this year we had a police officer from the National Crime Agency come and talk to our students about cybersecurity careers. And then our students took part in a national cybercrime competition. And we also had a lecturer booked in from Bangor University, and he was going to come and talk to our students about big data, which is what allows politicians to swing elections and marketers to change your purchasing habits. And Lawrence, you have some extracurricular activities and events in chemistry as well.
Yeah, we really value extracurricular activities because it gives students a real-world context. It takes them beyond their theoretical learning from lessons. With that in mind, we often get speakers in from universities and business, and I can remember a session last year where a researcher from AstraZeneca, a pharmaceutical company, he came in and did a session with students. And what stands out for me is the enthusiasm that was in the room and the thought-provoking questions that students asked, because they could really see a direct career path from chemistry to research. He was saying how the concepts that they study at A-level are still used in his field. That was absolutely brilliant to see. We also encourage students to enter into extracurricular competitions. Chemistry has a chemistry Olympiad, and lots of other STEM subjects have the same. And that's where questions are asked that go beyond the A-level specification. And students absolutely love that because it's a real challenge, and we've had lots of success in the past. Finally, lots of subjects have societies. Chemistry has a society that's run by students, and they organise extra practicals that go beyond the A-level and also engage in debates and discussions around cutting-edge chemistry. So you can see that there's lots of activities for yourself to get involved in to take you beyond just the A-level specification.
And all of these events and activities are obviously really helpful for your application to university and beyond. You're applying through UCAS, you're writing your personal statement, and these activities are all really helpful in preparing you through that process. And speaking of that process, we do offer tailored extra support for students who are maybe applying for Oxford or Cambridge or other highly competitive universities. So just as an example, last week a colleague and I, we ran a seminar for computer science candidates who are applying for those competitive universities, and we were able to actually look through some degree level study with them. And it wasn't just interesting seeing them approach really challenging work, but that they were using the same problem solving and logical thinking that we've been building into them through the course here at college. And Lawrence, you run, well no you don't run it, but do you want to talk to us a little bit about the medics programme?
Yeah, thanks Adam. So lots of students start college with a particular career path in mind, and that often is down the medicine, dentistry or veterinary route, and that's absolutely great. So there is a really successful medics programme where students take part in regular meetings and where they may be looking at mock interviews, how to make a successful application or problem solving skills. And we've had lots of success in getting students a successful place at a university to study one of those courses. We also offer mock interviews for competitive universities, and lots of students find those really useful. So hopefully that's given you a flavour of all the opportunities out there to improve your chance of getting onto the course that you want to go on to.
So I'm just going to talk about one thing that I'm really looking forward to this coming week, and then I'll ask Lawrence to talk about something that he's looking forward to. This week our computer scientists and next week, they've been doing programming assessments in the college, and it's not something that we do or that many schools do or many colleges do. But I think it's a really encouraging way for the students to showcase what they're able to produce under that exam pressure. So they're able to show me their confidence and fluency when programming, and we're able to give them, as we've been talking about, tailored feedback on their code so that by the next assessment they'll be even better than we've got here. Lawrence, what are you looking forward to next week?
I'm looking forward to the Year 13 practical next week on chromatography, because it's a topic that they've studied in terms of the theory, but they haven't had a chance to see how it actually is done in a lab context. And that's one of the things I think is so fantastic about STEM subjects like chemistry. It's hands-on. You get to study something in terms of its theory and then actually get to do it yourself. So I'm really intrigued to see how they get on next week. I did warn you that we can talk all day about our subjects, and we could keep on going for many hours. We are going to pause there though and hand you over to Holly and Bridget, who are going to talk about their reflections on studying STEM subjects here at college.
Hi, my name's Holly and I'm a former student of the County High School Lethwich, and I'm currently studying maths, chemistry and 3D design. Now, some people may find this odd, but I really do love maths. Whether it's the satisfaction of solving calculus or the real-world application of stats and mechanics. And I think that what's really fueled this love for maths is the passion that comes from my teacher Bryony. When we come into a lesson, it doesn't feel like a lesson. where the end goal is an exam and we're just learning what we need to know. Instead, it feels much more like a fun learning environment, and this definitely helps to fuel my desire. The first maths lesson that really grabbed my attention was a lesson we did on velocity time graphs. And in this lesson, my Year 12 maths teacher, Paul, decided that instead of just going through a PowerPoint and getting examples on the board, he was going to get up in front of the whole class and he was going to be the graph. So he started walking around the room at different speeds to reflect the different gradients of the graph. And it meant that the content really stuck. And these different methods of teaching really make learning the content that little bit easier. Now, some people might not see how me taking 3D design can link into my STEM subjects, maths and chemistry. However, the self-reflection and critical thinking that I've gained from a more creative subject have really aided my problem-solving skills and deliberation to best improve my maths and chemistry. Before coming to St John Deane Sixth Form College, I had planned to join the RAF. However, within a month of joining, my plans had changed, and I decided to look into university and a more academic career path. And I made this decision because I started to really love the challenges of learning and wanted to continue this. And I feel like the new content and continual flow of knowledge are really addictive to me. And it was this realisation that has led me to applying for a Master's in Pharmacy, which I'm really looking forward to. But I'd like to reinforce that taking that third creative subject hasn't hindered any of my future plans. Paired with my STEM subjects, I've actually gained lots of unique skills to apply to my potential career in pharmacy. And I believe that the teaching here at St John Deane Sixth Form College has really set me up for my future. I'm now going to hand over to Bridget.
Hi, I'm Bridget and I'm a Year 13 student studying Maths, Biology and Chemistry A-levels and a former student at St Nicholas Catholic High School. Having applied to study medicine at university this year, chemistry and biology were an obvious choice. Julie, my biology teacher, runs a medics programme outside of normal lessons, supporting aspiring medics, vets and dentists to make their applications to highly competitive degree programmes. On this programme, we've had many guest speakers such as university admissions tutors who give us guidance on how to write successful medical applications. I also take maths, which has taught me invaluable skills like problem solving, critical thinking, and ultimately resilience. The high expectations set by my teachers have built my confidence and self-belief, so I know I'll be well equipped with the knowledge and the skills to start a challenging degree. Although it may seem like a small thing, addressing our teachers by their first name forms mutual respect between teachers and students and has helped me to create close relationships where I feel like I can talk to my teachers about any concerns I may have, knowing that they will care and try their hardest to support me. Over lockdown, I've been inspired by the commitment of all my teachers to ensure the transition from college-based learning to home-based learning is seamless. Even throughout lockdown, I really enjoyed learning due to the array of engaging activities my teachers had worked tirelessly to create. I could sit at home watching a practical by our lab technician Rosie, narrated by my chemistry or biology teacher, which kept it fun. Although my chemistry teacher Rob did comment on how over-enthusiastic I was during my first practical back in college after lockdown. The science labs at St John Deane's are nothing short of fantastic. Having the opportunity to do weekly practicals in chemistry and frequent practicals in biology is amazing and brings an element of fun into lessons. The change of environment and interactive learning that comes with being able to undertake your own experiments is a great way to consolidate and deepen your understanding of concepts that may have been hardest to visualise in lessons. Across all my subjects, the importance of actually learning content rather than just completing tasks is heavily enforced. So whether it is weekly definition quizzes in biology or weekly mini tests based on Year 12 content in chemistry, learning how to efficiently revise becomes second nature. I feel all my teachers are so encouraging and supportive and have been a huge part of my journey to fulfilling my dream of becoming a doctor. Now I'd like to hand you back to the teachers.
Thank you, Bridget and Holly. We're joined now by Mr. Fox, who is the second in mathematics. And we're going to put some questions to Mr. Fox and Mr. Potts that you've previously sent to us. So, Lawrence, let's start with you. We've been asked a question many times by students. Do they need to study chemistry with biology, or can they take biology as a science subject on its own?
That is a very common question. The direct answer is no, they don't have to be studied together. It does depend a little bit on your future plans. If you were thinking of studying a science-related degree, then it does help to have chemistry and biology together, especially if you're thinking of a biological route. There are transferable skills between them, which mean it does work well if you study both of them. However, we have many students who study biology on its own, maybe because that's their favourite science and that's the subject they'd like to study at A-level. Doesn't mean that maybe they're going to follow a biological route at university, but it can be studied on its own. So no, they don't have to be studied together.
Okay, thanks, Lawrence. And on a similar theme, I think many students want to know, if they're going to study maths at university, do they need to study further maths at A-level?
Again, we get asked this quite a lot as well with the maths department. Essentially, yes or no. Now, if we're looking at the very prestigious universities, so Oxford, Cambridge, any of the Russell Group universities, they would recommend having studied at some point some further mathematics. However, it is not essential. My key message really is going to be, if you're interested in taking maths beyond A-level, do your research now. Have a look at the university websites, see what their most recent entry criteria was, and see whether further maths really was a requirement or not. So fundamentally, it depends.
Okay, thank you. So Lawrence, what would your advice be if the student's considering studying STEM subjects, which subjects are going to go best together?
Yes, we would always recommend that if you are considering a degree programme that involves a STEM subject, that you do consider putting STEM subjects together. Like the previous question, chemistry and biology go really well together, but so does chemistry and maths or chemistry and physics. So there are certain pairings that go together really well. It keeps your options open. You may not have a career path in mind, and that's absolutely fine. But if you study at least 2 STEM subjects, you can go down various paths at university. And as I said before, you don't have to study multiple STEM subjects. If you have a passion for, say, chemistry, then we do have students who study chemistry on its own.
Okay. I think one of the things you're both showing with us is actually doing your research early and almost having a direction. Although it may seem early, knowing where you want to go is really important. So for a subject like mathematics, where could that lead? What sort of careers do your students go into?
Well, there's an old saying really that if you've got a maths A-level, you can go into anything you like, and essentially a lot of that really still does hold true. Now we see a lot of our students going on to engineering degrees, whether that's chemical, biological engineering with mechanical engineering or electrical engineering. All of those involve a lot of maths. You could go into actuarial science, you could be a statistician, you could go into any of the finance sector, so accountancy or banking. There's a lot of logistics at the moment. So if you think about Amazon, if you think about FedEx and UPS, all of the logistical planning is all about mathematics. So there's a huge range of areas. Now there's some that I would like to actually to pinpoint, just to say that actually if you are not necessarily wanting to take maths at A-level, do you actually need to take maths in order to go down that route? I'm going to pick out a couple in particular. Architecture. While the majority of universities would require you to have maths, it's not a necessity for some. Same thing for economics. If you're looking to go down the Bachelor of Science route, then yes, maths is definitely a requirement. However, some universities will offer a Bachelor of Arts degree where you do not need to take maths in order to take economics at university level. I'm going to repeat the message basically, and again, it's all about doing the research and seeing if there's a university that you're interested in going to, or if there's a particular course that you're interested in doing, then is maths going to be right for you?
Okay, because there are some subjects, aren't there, where very definite decisions on A-levels are going to have to be made. So if somebody wanted to study medicine, or they wanted to study dentistry or veterinary science, what do they need to have as part of their programme?
I'm repeating what Matt has said previously, and it really does depend with those degree programmes what each university requires, because different universities have different requirements in terms of their subjects. Now we do have some classic combinations such as chemistry, biology and maths, but there's also chemistry, biology and geography, or chemistry, biology and psychology. If you're thinking of doing medicine, then chemistry is an essential subject. Some universities will require biology as well, so that's where the research needs to be done. If you're thinking of dentistry, chemistry and biology are both essential, and that's the same for veterinary science. So it's worth doing some research now, having a look at different universities and seeing what subjects they require you to take.
Okay. Many of our watchers today will have been and viewed the videos on Planet on YouTube, and will have attended our earlier open events. And the comment that we get frequently back is how wonderful the laboratories are. So how much practical work is there in the science subject in the laboratories, and how much does that sort of feed into their final exams?
Yeah, so each science subject is very practical. So chemistry is a practical subject, so we try and do practicals once a week. Biology and physics also have practicals as well. And we need those practicals because it allows you to see how that chemistry is actually done in real life. The practical work is called the practical endorsement, and that's separate to the A level. It's not reported as a grade, it's reported as pass-fail. So if you do chemistry, biology or physics, you'll get that practical endorsement running alongside your A level. You'll get a minimum of 12 practicals over the course of 2 years. Now in chemistry we do a lot more, but you have a minimum of 12. They're not done under exam conditions, and we train you in the skills that you need to be able to perform that practical well.
Okay, thank you. Then finally this evening, as a teacher, as someone that's studied the subject themselves, what's your favourite part of the mathematics A level?
Oh, that's a good question. For me, definitely the calculus idea. So for those of you that haven't heard of what calculus actually is, it's 2 strands called differentiation and integration. Now in year 12, we introduced this firstly through differentiation, which is all about finding gradients of curves. Now of course, a curve is steeper at different points than it is on another. So we look into finding the gradient function for any curve. We can then find out the highest or the lowest point before it then turns another way. We then see the real world applications of that and how that relates to something called optimization. So for example, you might have heard something called the open box problem, and if not, definitely go look it up. That's a good introduction to how differentiation can apply to maximizing, say, volumes or surface areas of particular shapes or prisms. Integration then goes into finding the areas beneath those, and we can apply that to, let's say, for example, in a mechanical sense. If we're building a bridge which has, let's say, a quadratic shape, or it has a shape like a sine curve, we can find the area beneath it to see whether a lorry can pass through. Underneath it, we can then see how strong that would have to be either side. And then when we go into year 13, we then look at some more integration methods. And for me, one of the best things about teaching that is then seeing my students, seeing how they progress from starting with polynomials to then integrating trigonometric identities, to integrating logarithmic functions, exponential functions, and being able to look at one of those and say, I know exactly what one to use. That, for me, is the best bit.
Thank you. And what about you, Lawrence? What's your favourite part of chemistry A level?
So I really love the hands-on nature of chemistry, in that it allows students to follow through in theory, for example, how an organic compound is made, and then they actually get to bring the subject to life by making that compound in a practical. So year 13s spent quite a few weeks learning this in-depth, complicated procedure for how to synthesize some crystals of a particular compound. But then they actually got to make them in the lab, and just the fascination on their eyes and the enthusiasm they had for it was part of what makes chemistry so brilliant, and other STEM subjects, and that you actually get to do it and see how it's done in the real world.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you. We hope this evening that you've really had the opportunity to get to know us a bit better, and some of the questions that you may have about choosing your A-levels have been answered for you. Here at the college, we value ambition, enthusiasm and loyalty. And if you haven't done it already, this is your opportunity now to show us your enthusiasm. Our applications for September 2021 are open, and our senior admissions panel is now considering those applications. So please, log on to our website and complete your application for us. If you've got any questions about the process, then phone the college and our admissions team are here to help you. Thank you for joining us this evening. We hope to welcome you again to one of our further events at the college, and we look forward to meeting you soon. Thank you.